Good morning, guys. So today we're going to read Chapter 7, The King Must Go. When the word of the battle between the Massachusetts colonists and the Redcoats spread to the other colonies, fear took over. Great Britain had the most powerful army in the world. How could the ragtag militias possibly defeat the Brits in an all-out war? Okay, go ahead and answer that question. Only a few weeks later, the Second Continental Congress met in Philadelphia. This time, they met at Independence Hall, and this time, delegates from all 13 colonies attended, 56 men in all. Okay, so here's a picture of Independence Hall, and here is all the men that attended, all 56 of them. And tell me, were they originally allowed to meet at Independence Hall? Does anybody remember where they used to meet? Some were lawyers, some were businessmen, and some were farmers. Many of them were wealthy. Some, like John Hancock from Massachusetts, were extremely wealthy. All of the leaders in the colonists, as the First Continental Congress the years before, some delegates still held out for a peaceful solution. Okay, so what do you think will be the best choice? Do you think that they should just fight, or do you think they should wait it out for a peaceful solution? Okay, so we're going to read next, where were the women? Were there any women at the First or Second Continental Congress? No. Back then, women was not considered equal to a man, although colonial women joined the protest groups against the king, and some even fought in disguise. After the war broke out, they were not intended to have the rights that colonial men so desperately wanted: the right to vote, make laws, and control their own destinies. In the United States, women did not get the right to vote until 1920. Do you think that, compare the rights of women at this time to African Americans? There were some new delegates to the Second Continental Congress. Benjamin Franklin, as well a well-known writer, printer, and inventor, was one. He urged the colonists to split from Great Britain. So did Thomas Jefferson, a farmer and a scholar from Virginia. Both of these men were gifted speakers. At the Second Continental Congress, they helped persuade others to their way of thinking and helped changing the course of American history. Okay, so just think about that for a second. We've talked about Benjamin Franklin, we talked about Thomas Jefferson, and we also talked about Abraham Lincoln in class. So how did they use their words to persuade others? What was their main goal? During the summer of 1775, the Second Continental Congress made important decisions, including creating a real army, not just militias, to fight against the British, voting George Washington from Virginia as the commander of the new army, printing their own money and refusing to use British pound. So here's actually a picture of the money that they were printing. Organizing a navy to fight against Great Britain's powerful ships, and sending Silas Deane from Connecticut to France to ask for help and money to fight the British. In July 1775, the Second Continental Congress sent King George III another letter. The delegates were making one last try to avoid war. John Dickinson of Philadelphia wrote the letter. He believed that the colonists should stay connected to Great Britain. At the end, Dickinson wrote, "That your majesty may enjoy a long and prosperous reign, and that your descendants may govern your dominions with honor to themselves and the happiness to their subjects, in our sincere prayer." Okay, so tell me, what else do you think that Dickinson wrote in the letter to King George III? Where did I leave off? Dickinson's letter was saying that the colonists hoped King George would rule over America for a long time and bring happiness to everybody. What did Sam Adams, Ben Franklin, Patrick Henry, and Thomas Jefferson think of Dickinson's letter to King George III? What do you think? They actually despised the idea, but the letter was sent anyway. How did King George react? He refused to read the letter. He wouldn't even look at it again. The king's silence convinced the delegates who had hoped for peace that staying connected to Great Britain was no longer possible. Okay, so they've tried at this point, the Continental Congress really tried to be peaceful. Do you think that the peaceful protests are an option at this point? All right, next we're going to read about Thomas Paine, and he talked about something that was published called Common Sense. Thomas Paine was a British man who came to America in 1774. With the help of Benjamin Franklin, Paine was inspired by what the colonists were doing to combat the British Army. In January 1776, he published a 48-page pamphlet called Common Sense. Paine argued in plain language why America should split from Great Britain. Common Sense became the best-selling pamphlet in America. 500,000 copies were bought. That meant at least 1 out of 4 colonists read it. Paine's words were read out loud in pubs and meeting halls throughout the colonies. General Washington had Common Sense read to his soldiers. Thomas Paine could have made a fortune from his pamphlet. Do you think that how did he use this money that he got from making the pamphlet? He accepted no money from its sales. He gave all of the profits to the American Army for uniforms and weapons. All right, and here's a picture of Thomas Paine. All right, guys, so tomorrow we will read Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is a little bit longer, but there are a lot of pictures, so we will be going through all of those just to kind of see the different people that were there. And we're going to be talking about how exactly they declared independence. All right, see you tomorrow.